Hi, welcome to Chad's Silversmithing. Before we get too far into the video, if you wouldn't mind hitting the like button, that really helps the algorithm to find my channel, so I do appreciate that. I also love it when people leave comments, so if you have a question about this video, a suggestion for a video, want to tell me how you do things, or some constructive criticism is always welcome, so appreciate that kind of stuff. So periodically I'll do a 3 earring video, and this is one of those, and I'm going to do 3 different disc kind of earrings. I've done this particular topic once before. I came up with 3 different ones this time that I think are simple projects, and we're going to do some things to the discs to make them look different, including reticulation and putting a texture on with a rolling mill on one. The third pair is going to have some pink tourmaline faceted stones right in the center of the bottom disc, so I think they'll be pretty, but we'll give them a try and see how they turn out. Before we do, I wanted to thank some groups of people. My patrons over on Patreon are my core group of supporters. I have 2 new patrons, incidentally. I have Valerie W., thank you for signing up, and Kathy K. as well. I look forward to getting to know you, and I hope that you enjoy getting to know the other people over on Patreon too. And I truly value their support as well as the community that they've built over there. It's a great place with lots of cool people that I like to talk with, and so thank you for making it that way. You're an amazing group. The other group is my YouTube subscribers, and we just passed 18,400, which is amazing and quite honestly astounding to me. So thanks for that. Thanks for all the nice comments, and I also appreciate the super thanks and the buy me a coffees. Those things really help with the cost of materials, which have kind of gotten pretty high lately. So thank you for that, and let's get started on these projects. This is one of my design idea books that you can get on my merch store. This particular one has a handy chart on the back. It has fractions of an inch to decimals to millimeters, which I use pretty frequently anymore. So that helps me to convert, because I don't have them all memorized, the conversions in my head. So I'm getting better, but it's nice to have that resource. I like these because it gives me a place to draw up my design ideas, and also then I have a nice record of everything I've made, so I can go back and look at it later if I want to reproduce something. It's kind of handy for that purpose, so get yourself one of those. So today we're going to do 3 kind of basic disc earrings. So this first one is going to be made out of some small discs that are punched out of 26 gauge sheet, which is 0.41 millimeters. I was going to do one that was a little bit more complicated with more discs, but I decided to simple it up since we're doing 3 projects. The wires I'm using to connect them, it's going to be little jump rings made out of 20 gauge round wire, which is 0.79 millimeters. So that'll be our first one. I made the prototype one here, so you can kind of see how it looks, but it's not polished or anything yet. But we're going to do something like that. I like these kind because they provide good movement, and when they're all polished up, they're going to really catch your eye, I think. So they move nicely. So we'll make another one of these. And then I didn't make any prototypes for these, so we're going to play it by ear on these. This one I'm going to use 18 gauge copper sheet just for some color. And I think I'm going to run it through the rolling mill with some texture. I have this, here's a piece of 18 gauge copper sheet. I have some little patterns like this that my friend in Hawaii has a laser cutter, and she cuts them out. And she sent me a bunch of them. So I thought I would put a pattern on these and then punch them out with the disc cutter and see if we can, get something cool looking out of that. And then we'll dome them a little bit using a dapping block and punches. And somewhere in there I'm going to drill some holes for the little loops, but then we'll connect them all together. Finally, this one's going to be all silver. I have these little, where'd you go, little stone grabber? I have 2 of these little, I think they're pink tourmalines, or they may be a synthetic. I'm not 100% sure, but somebody gave them to me, and they're very pretty color and pretty sparkly, so my feeling is they're either really nice tourmalines or they're a synthetic something or other, but they're nice. And those are going to be the main stone down here, so we'll have those right in the center of this bottom disc. So these ones I'm going to reticulate, and if you've never seen reticulation, it's where you heat the metal over and over again, and it causes the copper and the silver to kind of separate out. So you get a layer of pure silver on the surface, and it starts to wrinkle and make kind of cool patterns that are, I guess, reticulation is sort of snake skinny, and it makes for kind of a nice look. So we'll do that. I think I'm going to leave these ones flat, domed, flat. We'll see how they come out though. So we'll start with these though, and let me show you my disc cutter. We'll do this later. This is a cheap disc cutter. Pepe Tools has some really nice ones. I'm going to ask them for one of them one of these days. This is my old one that I got online a long time ago, and basically you just stick a piece of sheet in the slot and choose the size disc you want to the little peg. Say I wanted this one here. Just do that, and then you hit it with a hammer really hard, and it punches out a little disc. So, like I said, this is kind of a cheap one, so it sometimes dings up the discs a little bit. So we'll see what we can do though. I went ahead and punched out all of these ones at the same time for this earring. So I'll show you punching these ones out though. Okay, so the way I decided where to drill these holes is by just putting these on the little circles that I drew. And then I used a marker to mark where I want the drill holes to be. So try to get them pretty close to this, but over there. I've been calling this thing an ice pick for a while, but it's actually an awl, and somebody pointed that out to me a while back. So thank you for that. I should have known that, but I think awl and ice pick are stored in the same file cabinet in my brain. So I'm just going to put a little dimple here. Some people use a ball burr to create a little dimple because it doesn't distort the metal at all. Could do that, but I'm not going to hit it too hard, just enough to keep the drill bit from jumping around. Okay, so let's go over and drill those. Luckily you can't see what a terrible mess it is over here. Okay, so I just put a drill bit in my portable hand drill. I don't have a nice rotary tool, unfortunately. And I'm just going to drill where I have those little dimples. Okay, got our two little holes there. We'll do that on all of these. And then I'm going to use a kind of a cone burr on my Dremel to kind of chamfer those a little bit. I don't use my Dremel for drilling because the slowest speed is still pretty fast, and then I tend to break too many bits. I still break a lot of bits anyway because I'm not very good at it, but My drill bit decided to go walk about there a little bit. Okay, so like I said, I just have one of these little cone burrs on the end here. We can just kind of like clean that out just a little bit. This just gets rid of any kind of like leftover little bits of spirals of metal from the drill bit. Okay, that's probably good enough. Let's go back and see if we can't make some rings to hook these together. Okay, this is some, let's see, what do we have? Like this probably. This is 20 gauge wire. It was 18, but I pulled it through my draw plate to make it a little bit skinnier because 20 gauge is kind of standard for not only ear wires, but little tiny jump rings that we're going to need for this work well with that size. And these are called bail making pliers. And I'm going to make some jump rings on this out of these. I'm going to use this second. That's what I did on the other one, I think. Make a few rings this way. When I first learned this, nobody told me about bail making pliers like that. And when I first realized how cool they were, I couldn't believe all the good uses for them. So I'm just snipping these off one at a time. I actually have another ring of these that I spun earlier, so it looks like I only have enough for 4, and I'm going to actually drill a hole for a 5th one at the top so that we can hook on this ear wire that we're going to make out of that. So let's hook these together. One of my close friends makes a lot of earrings like this with these connected discs. I always thought they were pretty. There's so many variations you could do with these. You could do multiple metals and all sorts of different textures, and some domed, some not. You could intersperse it with some different shapes. This is kind of like making chains, I guess. I like making chains a lot. I find it kind of soothing. So this is kind of why I have this one set up like that. So I'm going to go ahead and drill another hole in this real quick. Right there. So I'll be right back. So I went ahead and I made another ring and I added it into that hole that I just drilled. Now I'm going to cut some. If you've never been to my channel before, I use primarily hard silver sheet solder. I use a liquid flux that I dribble on with a little dropper bottle. My torch is a Silversmith model. It's their acetylene air torch. It mixes atmospheric air with the acetylene through this little hole. It's not as hot as an oxyacetylene torch, but it's much hotter than a propane torch, I think, so it's perfect for silversmithing. I'm going to cut little tiny pieces of this, and I'm going to do what's called pick soldering. And you could just lay little pieces on there or use some paste solder if you wanted to, But I've got all these little solder joints lined up on top, and so I'm going to cut some little tiny bits of solder. If you're interested in seeing how to do pick soldering, it's one of those skills that takes you to kind of a whole new level. So I will put a link right up here for you. So I'm going to cut some little pieces of solder. I'm just going to kind of sprinkle them over here. I use a #1 tip if anybody is curious. You get asked that periodically. So I'm just going to dribble a little flux on each of these spots. Pick soldering, you just pick up a little bit of solder on the end of your pick. This is made out of titanium. Oops. And the real trick to doing it is waiting until where you want it to stick to is up to the temperature it needs to be, which in the case of hard silver solder is about 1450 degrees Fahrenheit. Okay, I'm going to cool that off and see if we got good solder joints on each one of them. They all seem pretty good, so I'm going to go ahead and make the little ear wire piece. This is about 3.5 inches long, or 7 centimeters maybe. 7.5. That was close. Okay. So I'm going to go in with my round nose pliers, wherever those went. Just a little ways. A little over some 15 millimeters maybe. And make a loop. Grab my chain nose, kind of open that loop up. And I'm just going to run this right through there. So it's hanging from there. And then close that loop back up. If I grab it right where they come together at the top and bend that sharply up like that, then I can just grab the bottom of it and spin this around once or twice. Then let's cut that extra stem off of there. We'll let that pickle with the other one. Then we'll get those polished up at the end. So let's get started on pair number 2, the copper ones. So to start with, I need to sandwich this stuff with the piece of copper here. And I need something for both sides probably, so I'm going to get a little bit of brass, I think. Just grab like spare brass. Okay. Put that like there. Well, that's just about right. Just kind of cut off that piece right there. If you haven't seen my newest ebook, it's a guide to 2024's videos. And I made about 170 some videos in 2014. So if you get the ebook, it has a page for each one of them with a picture of my original sketch, a picture of the final product or products. It has a list of materials and a difficulty rating, sort of, subjective on my part, I suppose. But, as well as notes about observations I made about the project. Was it easy? Was it hard? Did I like doing it? Were there things I would do differently if I was to do it again? Stuff like that. Yeah, let's do it this way. There. Grab some masking tape. Okay, so I'll meet you over at the rolling mill. Okay, I got it cranked in there pretty tightly, so let's see how it goes. That's pretty cool. I really like that pattern a lot. So hopefully it'll look cool even though we're punching it out in some disc shapes. But we'll give it a try and see. I think I might anneal this, which is to heat it up, because when we ran it through the rolling mill, we certainly made it much harder by work hardening it. And so in order to make it easy to punch these out nicely, I should probably soften the metal back up again. So we'll do that first. Okay, so let's heat this up. for a minute. That came out sort of pretty colored, honestly. I wish I could do that consistently. I'm curious if any of you out there, I know some people flame color copper, but I don't know all the tricks. I'm curious to hear what some of the tricks are to do that, because I'd love to be able to reproduce some of those colors deliberately, but as it stands, I don't know how to do that really, but that's very cool. So, all right, well, let's see if yeah, it's softer, so it should be a little bit easier to punch out. So let's go somewhere where we can punch this out. This is not a perspective you get very often in my videos. Let's see. So this is a cheap dapping block and punch. It's not a very good one, but it's going to have to serve today. So I need to cut out two that are this size right there, and four that are this size, like that. And so this is this one right here. So we need to pick a good spot there. Actually, I think I'm going to flip it over. That'll give it the element of surprise. Okay, I have to whack this pretty hard. That's why I'm down here on the floor to do this. Unfortunately, I don't have a stump or something, so. Yeah, we got one. I put the tag board down here so that it would prevent me from having the imprint that I put in here with that rolling mill. I didn't want that to get mashed into the block here, so let's see if we can do this with it. It's hard to get these in one shot when it's 18 gauge. So. Okay. So I'm just going to mark these with my marker for drill points again. Try to get them pretty well centered if I can. I don't think I'll make you watch me drill again, probably. Okay, I'm going to go drill all of these. I'll be right back. Okay, I got a dapping block out here and a dapping punch, and I got all those holes drilled, and I did a little chamfering on those to smooth them out as well. So let's just kind of tap these into a slight dome. I don't want to get too crazy because I don't want to remove that nice kind of interesting texture that they have. I'm almost thinking I might not even polish these ones because they have such cool colors. I just realized I drilled an extra hole at the bottom too, so I may have to remake a couple of these. I wasn't thinking. Could also just add like a little silver embellishment to it. That might be kind of cool. I'm going to put silver rings in between them anyway. Why don't we just... I have a thought. Let's do this. Let's ball up some a little bit of this 20 gauge wire on the end so it has a little silver ball, and then we'll make a loop that coming off of there, and we'll solder that on there so it hangs down from there. So we'll see if we can do that twice. Get kind of a little silver ball there. So let's just solder those closed like we did the other things. That one looks good. That one looks good. That one looks good. Okay, we're good. I'll add an ear wire on there, and I'll hook these ones together, and I'll start on the last one. Okay, so these are done pretty much the same way as the other ones. Because it's a 3 project video, I usually don't show how to make the bezel if I'm going to have a bezel item in there, just for time's sake. If you're interested in learning how to make a bezel for a faceted stone, there's a video right up there for you. And that'll show you how to make the bezel and how to set a faceted stone in a bezel. So, but I thought I would show you how I reticulated these. You'll notice they have kind of a texture to them. Reticulation is where you just keep repeating it. You keep heating it repeatedly. And it starts to kind of separate out the metals a little bit, and then the surface will start to wrinkle eventually. it a nice rough bumpy texture that's kind of attractive. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to cool those off, and then I'm going to drill a hole on either end and solder in a jump ring just like I did between these two. And we'll connect all three of them together, and then we'll let them pickle. Next time you see me, we'll have all of these put together, and I'll show you what they look like. So we got these. I think those came out okay. I particularly like these. I left them. I left the copper unpolished, and I just took one of these yellow polishing cloths and kind of burnished it to give it kind of a shine. But I think it brings out the little pattern that I put in there a little better, and I like it. I like the kind of mellow tone of it. And then these ones here with a little pink stone in it. I think those are nice. All right, well, I'll get some better pictures and put them at the end. Okay, well, that was 3 different disc earrings. I hope you enjoyed those. Those were kind of fun for me to make. If you did, make sure to hit the like button before you leave. And I'd love it if you would take a moment and head over to my main channel page. I've been doing this for 3 years now, and at 3 videos per week, it's added up to quite a few tutorials. So there's plenty of content over there. There's, what, 445 or something like that last I checked. And I think you'll find tutorials at all different skill levels, as well as a wide variety of styles. So check them out. There's almost certainly something else you'll like over there. And subscribe to my channel. I'd love to have you as a subscriber. The other thing is, check out the video description down below. There's some important links there. There's a link to my merch store where you can get those nice design idea books. There's another one to buy my newest ebook, which I mentioned earlier. It's last year's guide to all of the videos that I did, including Patreon and YouTube. So there's about 170 some pages in it that each page leads to a video tutorial and has additional information about the tutorial itself, so, and the piece, and whether I thought it was an easy piece, a hard piece, would I do things differently, those sorts of things. So lots of information for you, and also a great way to support my channel. So I'd love it if you pick that up. The final link is a link to my Patreon, and like I said earlier, that's a great group of people, and I think it's a worthwhile kind of community to be a part of, so check it out. All right, well, thanks for coming. Take care. Happy silversmithing.